welcome to this edition of discussion. I am Dr. Madhukar Shyam, and today I am going to discuss with you all about the foreign policy of India, as well as I will be discussing with you about the India's neighborhood approach or India's neighborhood diplomacy. So let me start. What is foreign policy? Just think of any policy that we are taking care within the country or internal. We don't have to take permission from any other country, or we don't need to take care of any other country what they will think and how they will consider it. We have to focus on our own people and we fulfill the policy. And but in case of the foreign policy, what we need to do, we need to take care of the other actors that are also playing role in different countries, because foreign policy is from our country to other country, and the main aim is to fulfill the national interest. What is national interest? National interest is all about how we are guiding or how we are bringing capability or prosperity in our country. For example, if we need energy, we need oil, so we need to get more and more good relation with the countries like West Asian country. We need gas, we need to have good relation with the Russia. So in this way we have to develop relation with other country and fulfill our national interest, so that the people in our own country will not face any challenge in their day-to-day life. So foreign policy is very important, very relevant when it comes to our domestic or day-to-day life, or the politics of our day-to-day life. Now, next thing is that what are the determinants of foreign policy? What are the approaches that we take in order to fulfill the national interest? One thing is geography. Geography is very important. If we have the geographical advantage, we will have directly accessibility of the resource with other country. Second aspect is the economic or trade. If we have good geographical location, if we have both maritime as well as the land, we can have good relation in the economic or in term of trade. Third thing is that we also need to enhance our technology. We need to have good cultural relation, we need to have good diasporic relation. So all these aspects fulfill our national interest or help us in the fulfillment of our national interest. Let me just give you one or two examples as discussed by Kautilya, or in his theory of Mandal or Saptang theory. What he is saying is that all the state is looking for the land and resources. All the states are fighting with each other for the land and resources, and therefore he classified the state based on Ari and Mitra. Some state he considered as an Ari is enemy and Mitra is the friend. So based on this aspect he developed the theory of Mandal. Now let me just explain you the Saptang and then I will move it into the Mandal aspect. Now in Saptang there are the 7 parts of the state. One is the Swami, followed by the Pradhan Amatya, then Janpad, that is the land and the people, and then Kosh, Durg, and then Dandniti, that is the rule of law, followed by the Mitra and Ari. If any Swami, any king understand these aspects very well, he or she will able to control its foreign policy in a very better way. So in Mandal theory, what Kautilya suggests its king, that king should consider its immediate neighbors as an enemy. Why? Because immediate neighbor is someone who is looking for more and more land or the territory. So what we need to understand, that immediate neighbor with whom we are sharing borders, or we need to check the power of immediate neighbor with the help of extended neighbor, because the immediate neighbor is also sharing the border with the extended neighbor. So if immediate neighbor is not developing good relation or not coming under the control of the Swami, then Swami should immediately develop very good relation with the extended neighbor and check the power of the immediate neighbor. In this context, it is very important to understand the India-China relation, India-Pakistan relation, as well as the different neighboring countries with India or any other way. So I'm not saying that Mandal theory will work as it was working in the past, because these days there are number of new aspects that are also adding, such as technology and different things. But Kautilya's Mandal theory is very well set in India's relation with China. Now, let me just highlight, as I told you, with these determinants, I am going to move towards the India's neighborhood diplomacy. How geography is going to help, or how geography is going to bring challenge. When we understand India-Pakistan, India-China relation, it is going to help us in understanding this. So first is partition of India, from where this modern India came into existence. After getting independence, we also had to face difficulties of partition. Both the northern side of the country as well as the eastern side of the country, what we had to suffer, partition. That is the West Pakistan and East Pakistan. Now, after having this West Pakistan, Dr. S. Jaishankar also mentioned in his book, The India Way, Strategies for an Uncertain World, that with this partition, we lost the geopolitical benefit from Central Asian country or this West Asian country. Earlier, Iran was our direct neighbor, but partition, this country Pakistan came into existence, and this Pakistan started creating trouble for us. I mean, all the policies, just like TAPI project, all the project in which Pakistan is creating some or other kind of hurdles, are creating more challenge in Indian foreign policy. So what we need to do, we need to understand this geographical aspect of the foreign policy. So next aspect is that due to this East Pakistan, what we see that enemy countries like Pakistan, West Pakistan, as well as China, they want to check the power of India and do some infiltration, do some fake money, counterfeit currencies. So these things they are doing in the northeastern region of India and trying to manipulate the people over there, trying to bring more and more infiltration or terrorism in the northeastern region and trying to disturb that region. So what we need to understand here is that if we would not have that partition, then we would not have these type of problem, because these problems one cannot tackle just having a country West Pakistan or East Pakistan. So West Pakistan is creating trouble in our accessibility to West Asia and Central Asia, and East Pakistan is creating trouble, or nowadays it became Bangladesh, as it is giving space to our enemy country, and they are having more and more accessibility to this region. Now, when we come to this story of China, India did mistake in the past, as mentioned in the book of Dr. S. Jaishankar, that India recognized China in 1949. And why we were in a hurry in recognizing China? There were two China actually. The China was going through its civil war. Why we were in a hurry to recognize China? So this is the point that was highlighted by our External Affairs Minister in his book. Now we need to understand, after recognition what happened. If people say this is the normal decision, just recognition and we did nothing, but after recognition China got upper hand, because at that point of time China was not getting recognition other than Soviet country, other than socialist country. So why were India in a hurry when India was following the non-alignment movement? So another aspect is to understand here is that after recognition, India signed Panchsheel agreement without resolving the border dispute, without resolving the Tibet crisis. So this is the another thing that is given more upper hand to China, and therefore we see that China all the time claim the Arunachal Pradesh or other regions, and we are facing trouble in both western, middle and eastern sector with border issue with China. China sometimes they are crossing the territory as borders are not well defined. So this thing we would have done earlier, then our foreign policy would have done much better than what we have done. Another aspect is that another crisis is that in the foreign policy that was highlighted by External Affairs Minister is that we also did very late this liberalization, privatization, and globalization (LPG), which China did in 1978, and most of the investment went to China. In this way, what happened? China created a monopoly in the export-led market economy, and now this is giving the another benefit to China. And China is now bringing more and more Belt and Road Initiative. China is investing in Africa and different part of the world. So in this way, China is having more and more economic power, and this economic power is further helping China in creating or developing other powers. Now, India did in 1991, and but India is simultaneously also facing challenges from the countries like Vietnam, countries like Bangladesh in the manufacturing sector, that the cheap labor are not only available in India, but cheap labor are also available in these other developing countries also. So they are also getting investment. Now we have in after 91 we have more challenges. Also, we need to do reform in the economic sector in order to attract more and more investors, in order to enhance our foreign policy. After understanding this aspect, China is creating another trouble in our neighborhood diplomacy. Neighborhood diplomacy is something we consider all the neighbors, all the countries with whom we are sharing borders are neighbors. That is the Bangladesh, that is Pakistan, that is China, Myanmar, Nepal, Bhutan. So we are sharing borders with Sri Lanka, Maldives. So what we see that we need to understand here, these are immediate neighbors. These are called immediate neighbors. And some neighbors are considered as extended neighbor, as discussed by Kautilya also. With our neighbors are sharing borders. Most of the ASEAN countries are there. So let me first focus on this immediate neighbor. With the immediate neighbor, what we are facing challenge, that China having the upper hand is now trying to control India within the South Asia region, or trying to cover India within the South Asia region by giving the more attractive policies to this South Asian country through the investment of Belt and Road Initiative. Now, try to understand here. China signed an agreement with Pakistan, and China-Pakistan economic corridor is passing through. India is protesting against that corridor. Why India is protesting? Because it is passing through the Pakistan occupied Kashmir. So what we need to understand here is that these aspects, these investment are giving more and more China-Pakistan nexus, more and more advantage to China-Pakistan nexus, and this is creating trouble to India. Another aspect is that China is also tried to bring the India into the Belt and Road Initiative, but India, due to this OBO, due to this Pakistan occupied Kashmir or CPEC, India denied that I will not be joining this, and India is registering the protest. So what China did here? China brought Bangladesh into their agreement of BRI. As I told you, see the repercussion of partition. Whatever India is not doing, they are bringing Bangladesh, they are using the Bangladesh territory to check the India, or do their business. So India through Bangladesh and China is now working on the Belt and Road Initiative. And another thing is that what we saw, that same thing is China is doing with Nepal. They are signing the Belt and Road Initiative with Nepal. They already signed. This happened in 2017. Most of the agreement happened in 2017. Recently, through this Belt and Road Initiative, A wonderful example we have of this country called Sri Lanka, where the debt trap, recently everyone was talking about the debt trap, and through this BRI, what China did, China took their port because Sri Lanka was unable to repay the loan amount. So what we need to understand here is that how China is infiltrating in every South Asian country and creating trouble for our neighbors and trying to capture the land or border for long period of time. China did same with the Pakistan, China did same with the Sri Lanka. So what we need to understand is that how India have to approach these neighbors and how India need to counter Chinese assertiveness in this region. Another recent example, we saw that due to the regime change in Maldives, what we saw that India Out campaign began there. Now this India Out campaign was creating trouble because this regime was funded by the Chinese government. Now India have to wait for the another term. If a pro-India government comes, then it will going to help in the India-Maldives relation. Now the same thing is happening. What China is doing? China is bringing pro-Chinese government in the South Asian region. So they sign the agreement with this pro-Chinese government, and they are creating troubles for India. Now what India need to do? India need to develop its economic capability. This is what mentioned by our external affairs minister, that diplomats cannot work alone. Diplomats need some funding, some support in order to offer other country that okay, we are offering you so and so, and therefore we need to you need to sign an agreement and strengthen our relation. Recently, in order to do so, India also brought Japan into play, that Japan should come and invest in this South Asian region, and Japan is doing the investment in the northeastern region of India as well as trying to connect the Bangladesh. So it will help in countering the country like China, but not fully. It is trying to give an alternative to the government of uh, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Nepal, Bhutan, and other country. However, I would like to highlight here, Bhutan is not having direct diplomatic relation with China, but simultaneously Bhutanese are talking or trying to resolve their border disputes without having the diplomatic relation. And this is what China is influencing in the Bhutan government also. Now what we need to see here is that in the South Asian region, India need good amount of money in order to invest. Recently, Dr. S. Jaishankar visited Nepal and signed an agreement in order to enhance the hydroelectricity power, and India is ready to import the hydroelectricity. And the same thing is India, Prime Minister Modi also visited Bangladesh, and India ready to export the electricity. We have the road rail projects. So by having this type of projects, what we can do, we can enhance the infrastructure of our neighboring country, and we can have good relation with them. Otherwise China will capture everything, and we have to face challenge, and China will keep checking the security also of India by coming very close to India's neighborhood. So this thing we need to understand here is that in the foreign policy or in the international relations, every country need to work for enhancing the capability of the country or enhancing the strength of the country. And in international system is anarchic in nature. So this anarchy is not, nobody is going to help each other. So what we need to do, we need to develop the self-help measures. So by developing self-help measures, we can do the cooperation. Of course, we can do cooperation when we have some capabilities. Otherwise, nobody is going to cooperate any country. So with this policy, with this approach, India may counter the Chinese engagement in the South Asian region. Thank you.